Quiet on the set. Here we go. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Hello, everybody. I'm Dear Myrtle, your friend in genealogy. Welcome to Mondays with Myrt, where we talk about anything and everything that's come across our Genia desks in the last week since last we met. Except we skipped last week, didn't we? Yes, thank you for letting me take a week off. And also, we will be taking next week off. Oh, isn't it fun to be retired? Let me introduce you to our panelists and our special guests today. We've got Frank from Germany, our guy from Germany, Hillary, our gal from Wales, Ellen, our gal from Canada, Randy from that foreign country known as Southern California, Maria from Pennsylvania, Ursula Krause from Germany. So we've got two Germans here today. And then we have Terry Lee Britton, who's in a country of his own mind. And he's here to talk with us today as my special guest as we discuss artificial intelligence. So I'm going to ask Hillary to take everyone down for a little minute, except for me and Terry. And while she's doing that, I do want to find out who's here. We've got um, we've got Valerie from Minnesota, Linda from Ohio, a Flo from Oregon, just the state right below old Myrt here. Yeah. YouTube messes up time zones. I don't know if it's YouTube or old Myrt or StreamYard or what. And Betty Lou, whom you know, Terry, from Game Night with Sir Michael Daniels, says good, nice to see you today. Ellen welcomes everyone. Today, you are going to learn, Betty Lou, about a different side of Terry Lee Britton. And he absolutely surprised me. I mean, you just never know about this gentleman. Let me get ready to share my screen and tell you why we're going to talk about AI today. On our very first Mondays with Myrt in 2024, Gwen asked a very good question. And let me pull that up. We'll get there eventually. I guess I have to hit share screen. Okay. She said, she gave me a future topic suggestion. And she's asking, since she didn't yet have the newest copy of Elizabeth Shown Mill's book, Evidence Explained, citing history sources from artifacts to cyberspace. She wanted to know how to cite AI sources. And I highlighted that in particular because I do want to point out how important it is that we cite when we have created something, be it a graphic or be it text, using only AI sources. That's different from what Gwen has been really busy doing. Remember, folks, we were talking about the new family search, full text search, where they're using AI to read handwriting on entire humongous record collections over at Family Search that are not indexed yet by humans. They're letting the machine do it, the artificial intelligence use it. That kind of searching is so valuable in the genealogy community. It took us on the 1940 census from its release in April, however long ago it was, 12 years ago, from April until September 1st or so, for human beings to do an every name index of the 1940 census. The 1950 census, which was released last year, was that last year? Gosh, time is flying by quickly. AI was employed, a proprietary form of AI was used by Ancestry.com on the 1950 census, which was larger than the 1940 census. The US had grown, population was exploding, and it took them 9 days using that AI technology to make it possible for us to get to the page, the actual document in the census, that census page that mentions our ancestors. And when you use AI like that, and then you've got an actual document, and that's what you're saving to your hard drive, and that is what you are attaching to each person mentioned, each family member mentioned in that census record. You don't need to mention that you used the full text search at BYU Labs, sponsored by Family Search, because it's just a tool to get you to the original document. Now, let me ask you about indexes. And then we're going to start talking with this man here. It's about the only time I'm above you on the list, Terry. It's StreamYard. What can I tell you? Oh, Ellen is saying, let me pull this up. This is a good point. Ellen is saying that AI was used on the 1931 Canada census. Yes, to help us get there better and faster than a human being can do it. Remember, when the human beings indexed the 1940 census, there was person one, person A, person B, and then a computer compared their transcription keystroke for keystroke, and a third individual would look at that and decide which way to go if there was a difference between them.
Mm-hmm.
So Hillary, also one of our panelists, is thinking that the 1921 census was used, as almost every page she had seen some errors. Yes, that's true. AI isn't perfect.
Yeah, but
I'm not.
humans aren't perfect either.
Good point, Terry. Absolutely good point.
In fact,
So,
they're probably less perfect. And so she saw a lot of errors in the 1921 census. It was likely because they didn't have enough double checks on that 1921 census.
right.
So don't
But
suspect when you see errors that it means AI was employed. It could simply mean they didn't have enough budget.
that's an interesting point there for sure. Okay. No, we don't need to save that. All right. So let me also distinguish an index created by human beings in the 1800s, where they went through all the probate records and entered them into a probate index book where it's old handwriting. You could have errors there. Maybe a probate packet was out of order or on somebody's desk. It didn't get included in the transcription in the index book. There's a lot of things we need to analyze as genealogists to decide, are we looking at an original or what? Yeah, I hear you. Okay. So this is what Terry did to me the other night when we did our game night, and I actually like being on your team, Terry. Um, it's
Well, everybody does. My team usually wins.
yeah, and that's why. All right,
It
I'm
didn't
pulling
last
this.
week.
I hear ya. In my way of thinking, if we have the opportunity to use AI wisely, like we just described, for indexing handwriting quickly, at least getting us um, into a record set that we might not normally look at. I mean, think how many pages you'd have to click through or scroll through on old microfilm to get to a page without any form of an index, whether AI or human made. So I started to get serious when Terry talked to me. I also got serious. I'm going to send this link out to everybody. When Dana Leeds, who's known for genealogy and DNA work, had used Chat GPT, which is one of the main AIs that people are speaking about
It
lately.
is the largest data set. Yeah.
So in that case, it's probably the most experienced one, right? Meaning it's
very well trained. Yes.
yes.
Mm-hmm.
And so I so then so I looked at Chat GPT and I got a little concerned, but basically this is what we're going to talk about. This
Yeah.
is perplexity. And let me give you the link. Tell me why you got me into this.
All right. Well, first of all, I'd like to explain something a lot of people don't quite grasp. That what ChatGPT is doing versus Perplexity is two types of AI systems. ChatGPT is what's called a generative system. It is using mathematics and statistical analysis of the human language to determine what the next best next word would be. The best next word, one word at a time. It looks at the phrases in the prompt where you asked it a question. It looks at its database of where it's seen this word in a stream before, and it
Yeah.
seeks out where words were in proximity to each other and makes a guess at what the next best word would be, the most likely next word. Now, because if it was always the most likely next word, they don't just rely on it being the most likely next word. They use a choice of 17, 20 words, for instance, in many
Yeah.
cases, and it throws dice, literally throws some dice and decides which of these 17 it's going to use as the next best word. So if you have the first best option, then the second placeholder is third placeholder, fourth placeholder. And to keep things creative, and so it's not just repeating the same answers all the time, it literally throws a dice and picks from among these other choices, these other placeholders.
And we see that in email, don't we? Or when you're typing an email, Google is suggesting the next couple of words if you want.
Yes, that's Google suggestions, grammar suggestions using
Yes.
Grammarly, all those
Yeah.
types of predictive things are in a class similar. Okay.
Yeah.
They're like older versions of what ChatGPT is. ChatGPT has a humongous data
Yes.
set
Yes.
and of writings and everything that's ever been written in multiple languages, in fact. And so that's generative AI. It's just trying to figure out the next best word. Then there's a
Totally.
thing called extractive AI. Extractive AI looks at a pre programmed or fixed document and says, this is what's available in this document. Let me summarize this for you. So extractive is not like generative. Extractive doesn't hallucinate. It's in the process of making up what the next best word might be. Sometimes ChatGPT and others that are generative will paint themselves into a corner and won't be able to find what the next best word is. So it'll make up a word, literally.
That's the yeah.
And that's what a hallucination is. And now that it's made up a word, it's now going down a primrose path to hell, down the rabbit hole of new made up words that do relate with the previous words, but it does none of it makes any sense anymore.
Yeah, it's so far off the topic, way
Once that,
down rabbit
yeah,
holes, and yeah.
and once that happens,
All
your
right,
only
let me
option is
bring
to
up a
make,
couple of.
excuse me, once that happens, your only option is to start a new thread, to quit the one you're in, stop trying to fix it,
Set
impossible
it
to fix.
off. Yeah, yeah.
Okay.
All right, so we've got some comments from a few people. One of them I think you'll appreciate from our friend Andrew, true Renaissance man. You'd just be surprised. He's also a fantastic musician. Frank says he uses AI handwriting recognition as he still needs some help for learning to read German script.
Oh yeah.
Yeah. That old high German script is really hard for me. I have to have I have a little cheater sheet thing that I keep adding to for that. Hillary is saying she uses it for old wills, and yet it still needs a lot of checking. We've got Andrew Martin from UK. Gosh, got people from all over.
Mm-hmm.
Um, yeah, that term hallucinate you used, and Frank is mentioning it as well. It's Chat GPT is known for when it gets, like you say, boxed in a corner, it's only half human. And it's just trying frantically to think of something to say and could be totally unrelated to what you need.
Yeah, it's trying to
Let's
work
see what
fast,
else.
and it's throwing the dice, and so sometimes it picks a poor choice, and that leads it, like I said, into an impossible problem to solve, because since it's only finding words that are in proximity to each other and to the phrase that you
Yeah.
have generated so far, and it's training itself as it's giving you the answer too. It's using the data from its own answer, called synthetic data, and using that to help drive it forward as to what it should write next. Now, again, this is generative versus extractive, and we are going to be discussing extractive AI pretty
Okay,
much.
I put extracted and
No,
I need to put
extractive,
E-
IVE,
yeah, okay.
extractive.
Extractive. Okay.
Mhm,
Yes. All right. So let me get us back on the screen together here.
mhm.
All right. So hopefully everyone can see this okay. I've got us in at 175%. And I'm going
Good.
to ask it a question. And you literally just throw me all around and tell me what to do.
All right. Well,
What?
first, before we do any
Oh,
questions,
okay.
can we give people a tour so they see what's going on? Click
You
on the
bet.
focus button. And I want you also to notice next to focus is an attach button, which is very
Yes.
useful for many people, because
Yes.
that's where you can attach a document, and it's going to use that actual document as part of its answer in summarizing your response.
Okay. Cool.
So
Do you want me to
you
click
can tell
on
it
focus?
what data to use. So click
Oh, okay.
focus. Yeah, click focus.
Okay.
You see, all is what's the default. That's searching the entire internet, plus Wolfram Alpha, plus academic sources, plus YouTube, plus Reddit. Writing does not do searches. Writing just does generative AI like ChatGPT, and no search is involved. But you can be in writing and attach a document and base your writing on the attached documents. So if you want to be immune from the internet because the data it's getting from the internet is maybe it's biased from a narrative that was popular for a period of several years, or just now that's been corrected, but you have more current information, you can attach the document that has more current information and use it to help you write using the information in that document. And the document can be very large.
Okay.
200,000 characters. And
Good.
so all is what we're going to typically be using. Wolfram Alpha is for mathematical and scientific and engineering types of
We're
considerations.
familiar with that. Yes.
Academic gets you into all the scholarly data and goes deeper than just the summaries. And YouTube reads the transcripts. All YouTube videos are transcribed for the blind to be able to enjoy the video. Their reader can read the transcripts.
Mhm.
And so it taps into the transcripts of the YouTube videos. And so that way it can summarize what's in a YouTube video. And the Reddit is good for when you're looking for discussions and opinions about various topics. And so maybe there's, in your area of genealogy, maybe there's a certain really hot topics that are being debated right now furiously. And so that you can tap into having it just look at the Reddit types of things, and it'll
Mhm.
generate what it finds there. When you're in all, it does search all of those things, including any document you attach. And so that's the best place to get started.
Okay. Shall I click all?
It's already selected, yes.
Oh, it's,
Mhm.
yeah, I see.
It's
It's
the
a
default.
slightly different color. Okay.
Yep. Now, there's also a Pro switch at the right of the attach, and that lets you use the Pro version of Perplexity's. It takes a little longer to get the work done. It takes more time and it does a more careful job. Yeah, there you go. What's the difference?
Yeah.
And so it lets you have 5 Pro searches per session, and resets itself after 4 hours, so that you
Okay.
can
So
use
every
it
four
again.
hours. Yeah.
Yes.
Okay.
So you can use it 5 times, and then 4 hours you can use it 5 more times if you want to use the Pro. But generally speaking, you don't need the Pro search for most things. But it's
Well,
if you're needing more detail, you want it to give you more depth, you can turn on Pro, and it will automatically, if it's an appropriate situation, it'll ask you some questions that'll help it do its search, or you can just skip the questions it asks and go. But learning how to write really good prompts to begin with is better than letting the Pro version try to anticipate what you're trying to get at. So go ahead and ask it a question, just a simple question like you were going to do, and
okay.
we'll see what it returns.
Oops, apparently I have copied something since
Oh,
last I
yes.
copied.
Oh, it's copying. But
All
anyway, I
right.
hope that's clarifies. This is extractive because it's actually reading search results. It goes to it just like Google gives you a bunch of blue links, correct? And you have to click each one and try to figure out why Google sent you there. And often you have to get through a bunch of ads and pop-ups and join our thing and upgrade and all this garbage, visual garbage, and scroll all the way down trying to find out why Google sent you there. Instead, Perplexity is extractive. It goes and reads the articles that it found in the search, reads them, and returns a summary from those searches. And it gives you citations of each one of the pages. You see the citations at the top, and you see it in the little circles at the end of
Yeah.
each paragraph.
That's kind of interesting.
Yep.
So that tells me Whitehall. This one is Skene Manor, etc.
Mm-hmm.
So,
and also you see right above the word answers, this is sources, and let's view 2 more. So you see the sources are pretty good sources. It's really great that it seems to know what are good sources to your queries.
yeah, I don't know. Here's a question from Mark. Hi, Mark. Does Perplexity search the internet in real
Real
time?
time.
Not a previous snapshot. So that's
Real
really
time.
quick. That's interesting because ChatGPT isn't doing that.
Its most recent search of the internet or training from the internet was way back in September in 2023.
And so a lot has happened since then.
Yes, that's the problem again with generative databases and all things that use the ChatGPT engine as a tool, as its background engine, is like, for instance, Microsoft's Copilot does, is that it's only able to use the data from the previous training up to the point of the last training, and there's no internet data present after that cutoff time till they train it again.
One of the things that I particularly like is that it references sources as opposed to just like a Google search just gives me text that I can click to get a little bit more, but it doesn't tell me where Google got that information. And that bugs me.
Oh, I do know
want to
the
know
answer to
where.
that. I'll
Oh, you
send you an
do?
hour-and-a-half long video that explains entities and latent semantic indexing.
Okay. Shall I have its next question, or are we going to ask a follow-up? That's
Ask a
always
follow-up. Show
possible.
off, and you can turn on Pro and use one of your Pro things if you really want it to go deeper.
Yeah, I think I
Just
want to
show it off.
Well, I want to ask. This is a later version. The Lowenstein Manor that I wanted to talk about was in the 1700s.
Good. Ask that. That's
So,
right. We did that. We did that together on the game show.
Apparently, I was clicking to ask.
Yeah.
Okay, if you click the plus sign, it attaches
add,
an image.
exactly.
That's why I brought up.
No, wait. Don't misspeak. Or PDF or text. So images, texts, and PDFs. That's when you want to add your own data sources.
Okay.
So let's ask a follow-up and tell it.
How shall I phrase my question? I'm looking for Conrad Weiser in the 1700s at Lowenstein Manor?
Go ahead. Say, I'm looking for Conrad Weiser.
In the 1700s at Lowenstein.
Yep.
Lowen.
Stein. Oh, it's L.
Well, there's several
Lowen.
ways to
It
do it.
knows. It knows. It knows what you meant.
Yeah. Yeah. Okay.
There you go. A picture of him
He
and
actually,
everything.
yeah. Although, yes.
Yeah. Oh,
So
okay.
what it,
Because you misspelled Lowenstein as far as it was concerned.
yeah.
But it gave Johann Conrad Weiser some
So
information.
there are Johann Conrad Weiser and his father, Johann Conrad Weiser, are two different people.
You have that
And
really, you have really super misspelling though. You might go ahead and rephrase the question with the correction.
okay.
You have Lowenstein Manor, Lowenstein, which doesn't even,
It's really fussy that I have to spell things right.
and it's Lowein.
Yeah, well, I think it's actually spelled this way, but anyway.
Oh, okay. All right.
So what it's doing is, there we are, came to colonial America, to the Schoharie Valley in New York, which is where it is, and eventually settled. Now, his technical name is Johann Conrad Weiser. This is the younger one. But, and I know of that because he's my ancestor. Let's see what some of these sources are. Yeah. Forgotten books, etc. The life of, let's see what happens when you click on the source. It's going to pull up a PDF file. Let's put it on the desktop and I'll open it. I mean, never done it before, so let's pull it up. Forgotten books.
Wow, it read that book.
Yeah, actually I have this book, a copy of it.
What do you know? It read this book as part of its search.
Yeah. All right. And let's scroll down and see how many pages it is, because it's 463 pages long.
We can read it. We got time.
Yeah. All right. So I just lost my perplexity. Here we are.
There it is.
Okay. All right. I wanted to mention something. In the class that I'm taking from Dana Leeds, I was to use ChatGPT 4, which in order to have it, I need to pay to have an account. It's $20 a month. Perplexity Pro is $20 a month. And it includes many more options.
Yes.
Than ChatGPT alone.
Yes. Plus, you can select which one of the engines you're going to use for the summary. I
totally like that. Yeah.
Yeah. And it even has access to the latest Llama 3 engine, the 80 billion size engine that Facebook released yesterday. And it's already here.
It's pretty amazing how fast this is all growing.
Yeah.
Okay, so I did, Maria, answer your question. I didn't see your question. You can use it for free, as I'm doing. I purposely did not turn on Pro and haven't been populating this with previous queries and things like that. Because I wanted you all to see what it looked like when it wasn't filled up with previous queries. Yeah. And that you could use it every 4 hours, it considers it a new time period for you to start querying again.
In Pro. In the free version of the Pro.
In the free version of Pro.
Yes.
So, all right. So Randy wants us to demonstrate using an attachment. Okay. So can I do I go to home to start over again?
Yeah. No, you go to new thread above it.
Oh, above it. Or there Control I.
New thread. Now you're in a new thread. Now you can attach that book you just downloaded.
Okay.
Might work.
I actually just wanted to do one document.
Well, I mean,
Um,
that since you know the contents of that book, it might be easy to ask a question related only to that book
okay. Let me go to my
that
desktop.
only that book would know.
Yeah.
It might be in your download. There it is. Okay.
Yeah.
Awesome. Look at this action. There you go.
Indian. There we go.
It's actually
That's,
impressive to me how much it will forgive spelling errors oftentimes.
yeah. Do I need to turn on Pro?
You don't have to. It just will give you longer answers to complex questions.
Okay. This is a Pro search. It searched the web. Oh, I must have left it on.
No, it searched your document also.
Okay.
See, the life of.
Yeah. Okay. So he was an intermediary and negotiator, and he was between British colonies. Yes, that's based on if it's based on the book. Let's see
Is
what
that the
that
book?
source is. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
It's not entirely accurate because there are more British colonies than he represented. He was basically Pennsylvania.
I see.
But the reason he had such knowledge of and established relationships was because he was part of that group in upstate New York that got sent there, and then when the project to extract pitch from the trees didn't work, then they were just left to their own devices. He was a teenager and he's playing soccer with the local tribe. He also served, I know, as a French and Indian war colonel along the Blue Mountains in
Mm-hmm.
Pennsylvania. This is a Pro answer reading the file. Same question.
Now, do you see the rewrite button?
Yes.
That's an interesting thing when you're in Pro mode. You
Yeah.
can, when you do own the Pro, you can select which one of these engines is going to rewrite the article.
So if I didn't like the layout, the way it was worded, they could take that and rewrite it.
Yeah.
Given
like you could try Sonnet. I think Sonnet's free. And no, you have to be in Pro. You have to pay.
Okay, I have to
In
pay
order
for
to
it.
have those access to those. You could probably, yeah. So
Okay.
cool.
All right. It's
But
possible.
you could rewrite it in the Pro mode. So one of the top rewrite option was Pro, but you're already in Pro. So I would just ask it for follow-ups. I would just keep digging and hitting it for more follow-up information. Plus you can copy, you can share, and you can do other things from the little icons to the right of the word rewrite.
Oh yeah, copy, edit query.
Yeah, it's just super useful. I use that a ton. When I'm not satisfied with the answer, I just edit the query. I add more details to my query. Because remember, it's always garbage in, garbage out.
Yeah.
Now, if you're in Pro mode, it does not count a edit query as another use of Pro. It still uses that same one.
Andy is saying, in his opinion, the first version is great to start with, the free version, but boy, can you dig much deeper with the Pro version, and you can experiment with it as well, Andy. So that's good.
But again, it's garbage in, garbage out. If your question is too simple, then you'll get a simple answer. If you start digging for real meaty details, and that's why I use follow-up to take what I've learned already from simple query and start digging deeper and forcing more details out of it. By doing a research piece on the old story of the Anglo-Saxon invasion of the Britons and the fleeing of the original natives from England to France, I finally, through just two queries, managed to find the controversy where people are now throwing out the two monks that all of the historians had relied on the accounts of these two monks 100 years after the event, and for hundreds of years. But now that the genetic research completely belies that. It's completely false. And they found new information as a result of digging deeper that the reason they fled the British Isles was because of starvation. They had two kings get into a war. It wrecked the economy. The feudal system was destroyed. None of the farms were productive, and everybody was starving to death. That's why they went to
That could be a
France.
reason.
Yeah.
All right. So
And the Anglo-Saxons weren't head bashers, as it turned out.
Mark has a question about retaining each thread.
Yes. As long as you're signed in with your account, it retains each thread.
Okay. That's good.
Also, we haven't discussed collections yet, which is the hottest topic.
Okay. So let me go back and we'll get there. Also, Maria has a question while I'm getting there. Okay.
This is again, because it's extractive AI, it's going to continue getting from the same sources. But when you rewrite the query, then you practically always get a deeper answer. In a generative AI system, since it's only looking for what the next best word is, the answer is different every single time. Just like when you're making pictures using AI, the image is different every single time, even with the same prompt. But so that's you're only tapping into a statistical analysis engine that is doing the statistical analysis of the English language and how it's been used in the past. And so the answers are going to be different because it also is that toss of the dice thing where it's selecting among a number of possible best next words. And that's how it keeps looking creative. But when you're doing extractive AI tools, like Perplexity is primarily extractive, and it's only using the AI to help it write the summaries, understand grammar, and create a easy to read result. But still, when I do regenerate and in fact, you can redo the prompt, you can edit the prompt and use the same prompt without changing a thing, and you'll get it rewritten in similar data in maybe a slightly different presentation.
Arrangement.
Yeah. But the data will be the same. However, I found in repetitive queries where I just repeat the query, sometimes it pulls meatier nuggets. So a nice thing to do when you're doing these prompts is to ask it for so many words. Please give this result in a 500-word response. And
or you can also do it for like 5th grade level. Or
you can ask it for grade levels, exactly, for the type of language it uses. It'll avoid 4-syllable words, that type of thing. And for the 6th to 9th grade level is what's used typically for any articles that are written for the internet that you want good SEO for. But when you're looking for a scholarly article, ask it for grade 14, 15, 16, and get really great stuff. And ask for long articles, and it will produce those. And if it has to produce a longer article, it's going to pull more data off the search.
All right. So Andrew has a good point. He's thinking that you're saying generative AI is much less reliable than extractive AI.
You bet.
And thanks for spelling extractive right, Andrew, because I missed that first time around.
Yeah, I would have gotten on your case, Andrew.
Okay, let me pull Randy up here for a minute. Hillary, can you bring him up onto the stage? So you're trying Perplexity, and this is what I love when we're actually demonstrating something and people are trying it on their other screen. What did you ask Perplexity to do?
I asked Perplexity to tell me something about my second great grandfather, DeVere Lanfear Smith.
Okay.
Who was my adoptee. And it gave me an answer, but I found my blog posts. Okay.
Yay.
I have 17,000 of the darn things. Um,
He
and it found my blog post and told me what it said. It said that there wasn't evidence that DeVere Smith was adopted, and so I wrote a follow-up that said, "Can you tell me about Ramslow Smith's will?" And it found that blog post that said explicitly that DeVere was adopted, the adopted son of Ramslow Smith. So,
Mhm.
you know, I love it, Terry. Very frustrated that the other chaps didn't know anything about my blog and about my ancestors. Now, if someone asks that, they'll find my blog posts. Google finds
Yes, isn't it awesome?
but this is the first one I found that can do in real time an answer for something even recent. I mean, it found my blog post for this morning.
Wow.
So Randy, by the way, let me tell you about Randy.
Uh-oh.
He is arguably the most prolific genealogy blogger. And on the 15th of April, that was his 18th anniversary. And when he said 17,000 blog posts, he meant it. Yeah.
No, that's rounded
So I'm
off.
pretty
Come
excited
on.
that anyway, so congratulations to you, Randy, for being such a prolific blogger.
Yeah, a
Let
great
me send
resource
this.
for
Yeah.
for Perplexity to be able to find you and tap into all that wisdom and knowledge that's contained in those. The fact that it can access all 17,000 of those things and learn from it, help us all. That's fan. I mean, how else
Yeah,
would you find it? Google would have trouble. You'd be on page 39. Right?
actually,
Maybe not. Maybe not.
he and a few of us have been around so long.
That's right. Authority.
Yeah. And the
Yeah.
other thing is it's a Google blog. It's a blogger blog.
Ah.
So it gets spidered like within 5 minutes of his post. So
That's cool.
all
Nothing-
kinds of people are saying congratulations, Randy. Your blog, yes. It isn't finding Marcia's blog on WordPress. Well, be sure that you've turned on your WordPress, turned on the
SEO.
option to have it be found by any search engines. But then you could trick it into, couldn't you trick it into what does Marcia Philbrook have to say about
Yes.
blah, blah, blah.
You
then it
could.
would find you, and
You
then it would
could.
start learning. Yes.
You could. Plus you can, a great way to trick it again, I guess you could say, is just ask questions that only her blog has any results on. Things that are so unique.
Yeah, that's why I did my Google alert for Dear Myrtle. I'm careful when I've, my old blog to have Dear Myrtle. I mean, not too many people put that in their posts, but that's how I know it takes 5 minutes for a blog post to be spidered from Blogger. Here's a comment from Gwen, the one who got me started on this. I also appreciate Randy's availability to help answer questions. He's also a great local resource for California research. And you are a genealogy rock star. I think you really are. Yeah. Way cool. All right. Well, thank you so much for coming to spend time with me today. I do so appreciate you getting me going, because this is what I am now thinking about. Now that people it's not just about pictures anymore.
Never was.
And no, well, but that's how I looked at it, right? Whether it was right or wrong, I didn't see, yeah, you know my history. You know that I took a year off and took care of Mr. Myrt. And now I'm curious about it. And part of why I want to be able to understand AI and to use it responsibly is I need to understand it so that I can evaluate reliability of what it's sending me Am I getting hallucinations? Or which is that technical AI term for off the deep end
Yep. Well, it's made
type
up words.
responses.
Made up words.
Yeah,
Yeah.
made up words, made up stories,
Made up data.
etc. Yeah, we don't want that. But when we can figure out ways to use it as a tool, like some of our panelists and attendees have mentioned, to help us look at text. Oh, by the way, I'll tell you about a prompt. Jeff Svar, those of you who know him from Family Search, he works at the library and he's a specialist like in the Scandinavian countries and Iceland and Greenland, and has taught courses on it. He had a document that he attached, but his query was, please translate the text or transcribe the text.
Mm.
And he needed to say transcribe the document because there was no text. There was just the question. So he was getting no, I can't do it type response. He was getting that, no, I can't do it. Can't do it. Until he realized that he had used a term text when he really wanted them to look at the document. He was using Chat GPT. So it was very literal.
Yes. And that is the story of all AI. It's very literal. You need to know what kind of things you can say to it. You learn that over time. And we did not go into collections, but I want you all to look at Perplexity's collections feature. It lets you add a meta prompt to the what they call the AI prompt. When you want to quickly show the screen, I'll show people at least where to go to, because I know we're running out of time.
I'm working on it. It's coming up slowly.
Okay.
Yeah.
And
well,
but
we
this
have a lot to talk
to
about today.
customize. Yeah, this allows you to customize how the information and the answer will be presented to you. So on the left side, you click on Library, and then you see on the left your threads that you've already done, and on the right you see Collections. If you click the plus sign next to Collections, it'll create a new collection that you give a name to. Let's say Conrad. That we're just going to use this collection only for studying Conrad Weiser, period. You can add an emoji, which is just a cute picture. No, don't click create. Don't click create. You can pick an emoji that you feel represents this search, and just so you have it, it'll show up. So it'll help you select from among your various collections when you create a whole ton of them.
Yeah.
So it's a visual cue. So go ahead and hit the angel one or something, anything. And you can change it.
Mr. Myrt one.
Yep. You do not need the description. That's totally optional. But the next one is AI prompt. Now here you can put 8 different things. Well, really 6 important ones. But most especially, you can put who it's posing as. Is it an expert in genealogy? Yes. You say you are an expert in genealogy and you understand all of the current tools and research approaches and methodologies used in the study of genealogical backgrounds of various people. And whatever you have, if you want to write something similar. So you're basically describing yourselves here. Describe All
right, but I get it.
I get it. Crystal methodology. Yeah, there you go.
Yeah.
That's good. And wait. Why are you so quick to click?
I'm sorry.
Go back to your
thing. But I could see where to get it.
Click on AI prompt. We are nowhere near done. Please do not do anything more. Click edit.
Okay.
Edit. Click edit.
Yeah.
Now you can add to this. Now, so you are an expert in genealogy, understanding this. Click, then hit enter at the end of that. Hit enter, and now you're on a new line. So you can say what style you want it in. Please write in a relaxed tone. Okay. You could tell it that you want to return the results using headlines, subheads, summaries, and bullet points.
Okay, start again.
Return results using headlines,
Okay.
Summary, subheads, subheadlines, comma,
Uh-huh.
bullet points,
Okay.
bullet points and summaries. So this is the formatting part. You can get
Okay.
it to send format.
Or I could,
And-
instead of relaxed tone, I could
Yeah.
say at a
precise
grade level 14 or
grade level
yeah.
14 or precise language or things like that. Okay.
Add a 10 question
Well, that might be more in your prompt.
oh, okay. All
This
right.
is all the stuff you'll get. You get style, format, tone. You can put in SEO considerations where you wanted to return
search
use
engine.
the keyword in the article.
Yep.
So it's terminology matters a ton, right, Andrew? And
Well, it's just
so-
like if you don't type in someone's email address correctly, it doesn't get to them. It's just
Yeah.
how life is.
Just how life is. And you're talking to a machine that's a statistical analysis unit that it's trying to find stuff. And you just clicked on that. It's whether it's shareable, whether you can share this collection or not.
Okay. It was shareable by default.
Yeah, that's by default. All right.
Okay.
So again, you can write tone, format, style. So you could tell it to write in the style of Ernest Hemingway if you like brevity.
Okay.
Or Shakespeare if you like it poetic. You can tell it exactly what style you want it in. You can tell it that it's going to be to write in a format for a genealogical report.
Does it have to be on this in a separate line, the tone versus the style?
Yes. In fact, I usually break it down where I say style : and then tell the style. Then I tell it the format : and tell her what its colon is. There's a method of using it where you tell it whenever I ask you to write an article, use the following article format. And then you say article format : and put down all the various variables that you wanted to apply to each article. You can tell it to always research very deeply and to return, that you want more than surface answers, and to make all articles be at least 300 words long. So you can put that in here at this point, and it applies to every single thread that you create inside of this collection. This is a collection not of just queries, but of of threads, of whole entire threads, including all the follow-up questions.
All right, we got to get it going here. And I have an important question. Why is it giving me does it not like numbers here?
No, it just means you misspelled the word 500.
Okay,
it's
so
cool.
it
works fine. That's your browser's browser.
All right. All right. Then so we're having
so now you've got a beginning of an AI prompt that you can edit anytime.
Okay.
And it'll apply to all the queries you do in here. So click update, and now you'll see that you can create a new thread in this
environment.
Yes, but we got to get into that environment first. Oh, you are in it. There you go. Yep. So see now underneath his face it says new thread. And now you're in that collection. And it's going to add these things, and see it says AI prompt applied. That's where you click that if you want to edit it.
All right. You can tell folks that we could take the whole hour and a half to talk about this.
But ask an easy question. Did Conrad live in Virginia?
All right. Thank you, Terry, so much for joining me this morning. Betty Lou, did you know this was something that Terry did? She'll give us an answer in a second or two. I don't know. All right.
Now,
I know you're busy.
I would like you to send people to my YouTube channel.
Oh, definitely. Give me
the link. Because I just
put it in the private chat.
It's in the private chat in 1 second.
And I will send the link out.
All right. My new YouTube channel I just created for AI Matters.
Oh my God.
YouTube at AYAIAI. It's pronounced
Okay, I'm going to pull it
ay.
up for brand recognition.
You stepped on my joke.
Ay, ay, ay.
Ay.
I get it.
So,
All right, so I'm going to subscribe.
and in there is a whole playlist on Perplexity, are videos that I find that are great videos. If you find some other videos that are super hot on Perplexity or on any of the topics in there, you want to suggest them to me that I add them to my site. I'm mostly curating excellent sites at the moment.
All right.
Okay.
So we got 2 questions. And does it do international searches, and can it do it in foreign languages? I think somebody asked earlier.
Foreign languages, not yet. ChatGPT can do foreign languages, even Finnish, which is, is linguistically isolated island.
Yeah, exactly.
And
Wow.
so if again, ChatGPT even can do Finnish, but
Okay.
it's not current searches.
So people are subscribing. Randy is subscribed. I just did. So your website's growing.
It's growing.
It's growing.
And I'll keep adding stuff, and I'm going to be making my own tutorial videos soon also. Okay,
one thing that people did ask for, somebody asked for a list of the reasonable, what the various searches are. We've talked about ChatGPT 4 and Perplexity being more robust. But a couple of people want to know about that. So maybe that's something you can include in one of your videos. They want to have, they'd like to have a list of it changes so quickly though, but basically you've got ChatGPT, you've got, I don't know them all. I've only taken 2 classes so far, plus you, which is
if you go to, when you add to my III site, you'll see some superheroes listed that all do reviews of the different websites that are available and different chat engines that appear, all the different tools, and they do reviews. They're great people to subscribe to and follow their stuff. And they all have fantastic videos, which is why they're in my superheroes of AI list. And I follow them all myself. So
Claude, ChatGPT, Dolly, etc. Yeah, and I'm not sure about your spelling, but at least we're getting them in there. Okay, thank you very much. I didn't know that you'd made this new YouTube channel. So, and I'm always glad to spotlight the work that people are doing. So thank you, Terry. I appreciate you. All right, so we're going to switch topics here for a little bit. And I think you guys believe me now when I say we definitely are going to learn to use AI in the coming months. All right, let's see where we are. So Gwen, thanks for your suggestion about AI. If you do cite AI, Elizabeth Schoen Mill's suggestion, it shows up here. Am I sharing my screen still? No, I need to do that. Let me type the elements that she's suggesting we should be using. We'll zoom in a little bit. If you're creating a video or a graphic, you just need to label your graphic with that, with whatever AI you use to create it. So you're not, but if you are using AI, as I mentioned in the past, to help you find a document, it's like a search engine in a way. If it is translating handwriting text to typed text or foreign language to your language, you need to specify the query you used. You saw Myrt type a few queries here. So you understand that a little bit. You need to include that information. And this is according to Elizabeth Schoen Mills. We're talking about page 692, where she's talking about ChatGPT version 4, DALL-E, DALL-E. Betty Lou is thinking, and this is good for him to hear this, the perplexity gives you better results for information on an area, meaning a locality or a topic, Betty Lou. Then Google is returning. It's far more robust. Now, AI won't get you behind paywalls. You may be behind a paywall, like at Ancestry. Well, let's see, the 1950 census is not behind the paywall at Ancestry. Yeah, I don't know. All right, what's next on the docket, guys? Hillary had a good comment, and I want to pull the panelists up on the screen. I want to talk with you about if you've had a challenge where DNA gave you a slightly different result than you were anticipating. And I'd like us to have a group discussion among us. Terry, do you want to be in on this? You always have an opinion. Okay, Betty Lou saying, yeah, the answer that she got from Perplexity about a locality was much better, and gives better historical information on small town. Perplexity does, not Google. Perplexity over Google. Very good to hear that. Okay, but now to our DNA question. Anyone on the panel wanting to talk about an experience they may or may not have run across personally? Hillary had asked, what do you do when you have to explain something? Or do you have to explain a problem in a DNA result? Meaning that it doesn't match the paper trail. Have you seen this in your genealogy society meetings? Maybe not on your own tree.
Not yet.
Not yet. Okay, Randy, go for it.
I have, in a negative sense, because the DNA recombination is so heck, I forgot the word, random.
Yes. Well,
That so you might expect that a fourth cousin would have some DNA matching, but many don't. I mean, it's like 50% of fourth cousins don't show up in your list of matches. And I don't remember the exact number,
yeah.
but it's about that, I think. And then you have sixth cousins who show up with 40 centimorgans. Okay, and how the heck does that happen? So the randomness of it is a challenge,
And it's not
experience.
and it's not a matter of a non-paternal or misattributed parentage situation.
Yeah.
It's just what percentage of which ancestral couple DNA are we actually bringing forth, and it may be different from your sibling or what your cousin inherited, especially cousins.
Yeah. Now I've had the other experience too, where
So
I've tested that if are these the parents, and are there DNA matches with me from those parents? Not knowing who the parents maybe of John Richmond is, but I have 4 or 5 candidates for the parent of John Richmond, and so I tested all of them, and one set of parents stood out. I had like 4 or 5 DNA matches with significant centimorgans, well over 15 centimorgans. Now, that's evidence that it might be, they might be the parents, but it isn't conclusive, I fear. There are paper trails. But so you get down in the weeds on the DNA, unless you have something more than 20 centimorgans, you don't really know if they're your DNA cousin or not.
Well, let's imagine we are in a situation. Oh, Ellen, you wanted to say something. Go ahead before.
Well, I'm working on a presentation right now because I'm doing 2 DNA presentations in the next few days. And for a fourth cousin, just you're only going to necessarily match up to about 71% of your fourth cousins because of the randomness. And
Mhm.
after third cousins, it really drops off 71%. And then let me find, I'm just looking for my thing. Then fifth cousins, it's 32%, sixth cousin, 11%, and seventh cousin, 3.2%. So that's why you have to DNA test so many of your other cousins to get sort of a more balanced look at your ancestors.
Ursula, did you want to say something? Not yet. Okay. It's just I thought you were raising your hand. I want to move it in closer. I want to move this discussion into an anomaly. You were not an anomaly. It's something you're not anticipating, right? You weren't anticipating that there is nothing on your father's side or your grandfather's side. Let's say your father's side. Just to talk, I really want to talk about in the privacy issue. Do we have a responsibility to share the information, etc.? Now, some of us have been professional genealogists who do research for people, including DNA research. And in the contract, when it comes to the DNA, it is stipulated, are you aware that we may find surprises in the results of our DNA tests? And do you want to know, or do you not want to know if there is such a surprise? Now, Ellen, you're shaking your head yes. How do you feel about that right there at the contract stage?
Well, I mean, it's something that I always tell anybody that's thinking about DNA testing is that you may find out something you didn't know and didn't want to know. And I don't know how you ask a person, or to me, if I find something terrible, do you want to know? But what's your definition of terrible?
Yeah, it's like it's almost. I've always felt that genealogists need to look at things objectively. So if you find that somebody was in jail, in a penitentiary, wouldn't you like? I mean, I don't need to be judging that. It's a fact, and it can explain a lot of things, like why there were 3 children and then a 10-year gap and then another child. First, I don't normally think of that first. I normally think of, well, the guy was in the service during that time period. But it could have been that he was incarcerated or whatever. If we're going to create a timeline that's accurately reflecting what we have learned about events in an ancestor's life, we need to bring in all the evidence. It may or may not be important for instance, determining she had a child at the 9th year. Well, whatever. Maria, you're shaking your head yes. How's it going?
Yeah, I agree. I mean, you have to put things in perspective when you're going to do something like that for someone. And, you have to put out there, as an adoptee, I know, I've heard horror stories of people who were just blindsided. But it's a responsibility. If you're going to do research for somebody, you have to put that out there. You have to tell them that there is a possibility You hope that there's not, but there's a possibility that, you know, you might find something you might not want to know.
Well, I think Andy agrees with you. If people can't deal with the facts, then they shouldn't go searching for things, period.
Yeah.
I once,
But I think
I
some
did,
people, when they take a test, they don't even. Sorry.
go ahead.
I think some people aren't even aware that that's even a possibility, or don't even imagine that that's a possibility. And then they kind of get blindsided when they get the results, and they don't see the people they think they should see.
Mhm.
I always tell people that when you're looking at your matches, you need to see whether your matches measure up. So a cousin, you might see their name, but are they truly at the range of a cousin, or are they at the range of a half cousin?
Mm-hmm. Totally. Um,
Yeah.
So, Randy, you were shaking your head yes. What did you want to say there?
Nothing. I haven't had the experience of dealing
Yeah.
with that issue, that situation.
Yeah, let's see what this is. I have found on my children's father's side. Oh, found this. And when we make these discoveries and they involve living people, becomes an ethical issue of whether to share the info. Now, I've always thought do no harm. But if I were hired to do some research, I need to provide the information to the person who hired me. That's the person in like in your case, Helen, that you're working with, whom you've had test and take these other tests, etc., to try to solve the situation, resolve an understanding of is this a half cousin or half sibling or grandmother, daughter, who's the mama type situation. It's a challenging thing. Let's see. What are we dealing with here? Betty Lou says, I'm dealing with this now. They both came from the Asta Valley, and my brother's cousin and myself are coming up more Ashkenazi Jew than Italian. Interesting. It's not a perfect science yet, but the more data that is compiled, uh, and the more places you share your raw data so that it can be compared in other testing pools, the more likely you are to arrive at a conclusion. But you basically don't take a test to find out who your parents are unless it's a paternity test and you have the particulars there in person. That doesn't happen in the world of genealogy as much as it does on provocative television shows that I never watch. Comment here. Frank, you had a good point in the private chat about ethical problems can occur even when doing the paper trail. Do you want to talk to me about that a little bit?
Yeah, of course.
Mm-hmm.
For example, my grandfather on my mother's side
Mm-hmm.
is not the father of my mother's brother.
Okay. And you know that because?
Of the paper trail.
Okay.
Because when he was enlisted into the military for the German army back in World War II, he was already married to another woman. And he met the woman that later became the mother of my mother on his way out of the war after he was captured.
Okay, so he had become a prisoner of war. He's now released as a prisoner of war and is on his way. Was he in France and he's returning to Germany?
Exactly, and she already was pregnant. And she told him so in her letters. So
Am I,
he got back to his former wife.
is he locking up or is it me?
Is it me?
I think it must be you, Myrt.
I don't know. Is it me that's locking up?
No.
Okay, honey, Mr. Myrt, would you please put your computer in airplane mode? This is the time when we usually have trouble with our internet, if we're going to have it.
Okay.
And also what I'll do is, this is why I use StreamYard, because you all are in the cloud. And it doesn't depend on my computer, but I have to be able to hear you. So you're saying there are family stories that have gone to the grave.
Yep.
Where you then are working on the paper trail and comparing timelines and things like that, and
Exactly.
they don't quite fit. So yeah,
they don't fit, and then you have to tell your own relatives that they are not related to each other, which can be an ethical challenge if they are not prepared. That you might find such things.
It can be an ethical challenge and it depends on your relationship, your existing relationship with them.
Yep.
I know of a professional genealogist who did something that made me nervous. This person it was during COVID, and the test results came back. She'd never met her person in person, her client in person. And she decided to go forward. She found the results of the test came back, and it was very startling information. I don't know the specifics of the scenario, but she decided to go visit with the person in person to soften the blow. And all of us advised, first of all, don't do it because of COVID. But secondly, that's not a good policy to have. We need to have some professional distance between us and our clients. But yes, we need to be kind in our approach.
Right.
And I think a lot of it has to do with our tone of voice and the fact that we, just practice it in the mirror, guys. If you have to talk to somebody about a difficult thing, just being calm and matter of fact, not nervous. Because if you're nervous, then the other person's going to pick up on that and be nervous. I think we can set a tone. Like here in Mondays with Myrt, Cousin Russ would talk me off the edge of a cliff and help me be calm, which you had to do, Maria, by telling me 10 minutes to go. Okay, now you can hit the start broadcast button. She was my Cousin Russ timer today. And in setting that, he said, we have to set this tone so that people are not afraid to ask questions here during Mondays with Myrt, so that, people would then speak back and forth. Maria said something. Hi, Maria. Should always warn and prepare people ahead of time for surprises. And I think if you make the warning, just matter of fact, whenever we have DNA tests, there's always a possibility that there will be a surprise or two. And if that happens, you're not the only one. And keep it along that line. Oh, hi, Paul. Paul was contacted by a detective in Central California about the John Doe they found on the beach. And he matched in GEDmatch. And yes, I agree with you, Paul. I'm happy to help law enforcement. Yeah. Yeah. I'm not at all concerned. All right. Is it time for our lightning round?
Yeah, you have 11 minutes. You're good.
Okay. All right. So I'm going to remove each of you from the stage. And while the reason I want to do a lightning round is there's a lot of good stuff that's been happening lately. Some of it with our fellow producers of content, publishers of content. Let me share my screen and get ready to go here. I mean, this was I do want to be able to discuss sticky wicket sticky wicket topics like this. Okay, number one. Ursula did a blog or did a post, not a post. Let me pull it right up. I want to spotlight this. And Ursula, proud of you. You did a presentation for the 24-hour Legacy Family Tree. Could somebody bring her up? Did you have to do it in the middle of the night?
No, I did it at 2 p.m., as a matter of fact, which was 8 a.m. at the East Coast.
Yeah, so that's pretty good.
Lucky me.
Yes, you were. So this is her. I need someone to share the links. I guess I can do it. Okay, here we go. That's the link to her webinar, Moving Migration Patterns in Germany. The next thing to share is, there we go. Ellen has an interesting challenge for us. Let me pull up my Google Drive. And in looking at this, we need your opinion. It is here. Here we go. There is a picture that's eventually going to come in. Am I sharing my screen okay, guys? Hope so. Yeah. Does this picture look like a uniform? That's the question. Let me pull it up. See if I can make this bigger. Does that look like a uniform? Boy, I really messed it up. I think not. Ellen, talk to me about this real quick.
This is a picture of a friend of a friend's, and
Yes.
it's of her grandmother, and she was asking, was this a uniform and what kind of picture this might represent? And because I'm Canadian, I have a lot of U.S. knowledge and so I wasn't sure what it was, and I thought this would be a great thing to post here.
All right. My opinion is that it is not a uniform, since this was, let's see, when was she born? 1892. Other than this gold button here, let's move this 150%, see if we can see it better. Yeah. Like that, if that's a lapel pin as opposed to anything else, let me see if I can even zoom in more. I don't know. If anybody knows anything about that kind of a dress.
Because I did kind of a Google search of that type of photo, and I didn't really come up with anything.
Mm-hmm. And
I was
Google
thinking I might
Photos.
try it on Perplexity now that I've seen that.
Yeah, you might. And then let us know, yay or nay, what you came up with. Okay.
All right.
So, Hazel, let's see. Kimberly, okay. We're trying not to do advertising here, but Kimberly is saying it might be because of the flag. However, it could be a matter of maybe she's a suffragette. The buttons could be a fashion feature, Deneen is saying. And boy, does, yeah, send it to Maureen Taylor. That's a good possibility. Yeah.
Yeah, that's a great idea.
All right. Now let's see what else. Anything else that we need to talk about before we go? I did Randy's thing. Tomorrow is a very important day for the people some people in the southern hemisphere. Tomorrow is Anzac Day, and MyHeritage is giving free access to all of their Australia and New Zealand records to honor that. So that's kind of cool. Let me give you that link so you'll find out about it. And Okay. I'm really happy to see Lisa Louise Cook is busy again. That means she's doing well. I've always recommended that you visit her podcast, listen to it, subscribe to it. It's a good thing to do. But this was a particularly interesting one about newspapers and obituaries because you had a special guest from newspapers.com. So, a nice little 45-minute podcast to listen to. Very smart hostess with the mostest. The other person I'd like to bring to your attention is Connie Knox. And we'll bring up her YouTube channel. This happens to be her blog or her post about the full text search, which we were talking about that. I think we're going to be talking about that a lot. Hopefully that's yes. And be sure that you subscribe. And I always unsubscribe and then subscribe again so that you can see the subscribe button. It's very animated nowadays. But in addition to that, clicking subscribe, click the down arrow and then click all so that you will not miss any of the new videos that she puts up. Most of hers are short subject videos, which she tells me are less popular than long videos. I don't know. I think with she's got 97,000 subscribers. I think that she's pretty popular. And I'm proud to know her. That's for darn sure. Anything else before we go? I think we're pretty good. How's our time? We're 3 minutes ahead of time. Yeah. Very interesting. As a parting comment, this was shared by Terry. He left, but he said, here is a website for a prompt generator for AI. Remember, half the battle was using the right text to get the point across. So thank you, Terry, for that. That's the last of our lightning round things to talk about today. So, folks, there's nothing left to say, but I'm dear Myrtle, your friend in genealogy. Happy family tree climbing, everybody. That's a wrap.